Is Judaism filled with restrictions, with denial, with fear, or is it a religion of joy? Welcome back. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable Jewish ideas to upgrade and impact your everyday life. And in this series, Torah for Today, we take an idea from the Torah portion of the week and see how it helps us tackle the real life issues that we are all grappling with in our lives. Is Judaism filled with fear or joy? God tells us that He gives us a choice. The choice seems a little bit extreme. God tells us, I'm putting before you the blessing and the curse. Now, if you think about it, blessing is an abundance, whereas a curse is when a person doesn't have enough. Right? It seems like they're kind of like two extremes. And the Sforno, who is one of the commentators, says on this choice that we have, don't be mediocre. Shoot for the blessing, shoot for that abundance, shoot for that greatness. What does it mean? It means that what we should do is that we should live a life where every single one of our actions is done where we know God, right? All of our actions are inspired by a desire to become more godly, to become better, to become closer and more divine-like. Now, hold on a second. That seems a bit extreme. It seems a bit much. Like, if I do that, does that mean that I can no longer enjoy life? Like, where's the place for sitting down and just enjoying a delicious meal? Or kicking off and relaxing at the beach for an afternoon? Is Judaism demanding from me that I strip all joy from my life? Let's make this question even more confusing. In the times of the temple, there was something called Maaser Sheni, which meant that when a farmer would have to give 10% of their produce, take it to Jerusalem and eat it in Jerusalem. And when the Torah talks about this mitzvah, it says that the farmer must do this. They must eat this 10% in Israel, in Jerusalem, in order that they come to fear God. Wow. That again, it doesn't sound much fun. Here I am after hard work of planting and looking after my field and finally harvesting, and I'm supposed to take it so that I eat it in fear? What's going on? But if we read a few sentences further, we find something that kind of blows our mind, and it says that you should take that 10%. And you should eat it in Jerusalem so that you rejoice together with your family. So which one is it? Is it supposed to eat it in fear? Is it a religion that is restrictive and harsh and hard? Or is it joyous and light? So I think before we can really answer this question, we have to understand, what does it mean to fear God? It comes from the word Yirat Hashem, fear of God, and it's translated fear of God, but I think it's actually mistranslated. What it's really talking about is awe, right? What is awe? Now, we sometimes experience this when we have, those once in a lifetime experiences. For example, I remember years ago, we went to visit the Grand Canyon, and we stood there, my family, myself, we took a road trip down to the Grand Canyon, and we stood there, and there's this gaping chasm in the earth, this gaping canyon, right? And I just felt this sense of awe, wow. Or sometimes if you see a magnificent sunset, or if you're present at the birth of a child or someone else's child, right? There's this feeling of awe. What is this feeling of awe? It's the feeling of connecting to something greater than you. Now, there's a lot of research that's done in psychology that talks about this feeling of awe. And it's actually a very positive feeling for a person to have in their life. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but the truth is we can experience moments of awe even in the everyday. And that's really by stopping and being mindful, right? So what is this fear of God that we're talking about? It's an awe of God. When a person stops and is mindful, right? So, for example, one of the morning blessings is that God prepares all man's footsteps. Now, imagine if you stop and you're mindful of this blessing and you stop where you are and you think about it and you think, wow, God created the entire universe, the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the beach, and think about all the beautiful things that you enjoy in the world, right? God created them, or created the resources and the intelligence for man to make them from. Think about that. That fills us with a moment of awe, with that feeling of awe, that like, wow, I'm connecting to something greater. But it goes deeper, right? Because what's this blessing is saying? It's saying that God prepares all man's footsteps, which means that God has put me here today. The awe, when you stop and you think for a moment, God is so great. God created this massive universe with all its beauty and all its incredible things and all the details and intricacies in it and all the billions of people. And God put me here. Now that feeling is a feeling of awe, right? It's a feeling of, wow, I'm connecting to something greater. Now, that feeling leads us to wanting to do our best, right? And it's that feeling of awe fills us with a sense of joy. And that really is Judaism. Judaism is that sense of awe, right? That we are here for a higher purpose. And when we connect to that higher purpose, when we're mindful of that higher purpose, that brings us and moves us towards leading a life of meaning and a life of joy. So that's what Judaism is. Judaism is awe and joy of leading a truly meaningful life. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'd love to hear if this resonated with you. And if you'd like to discuss it further, you can get in touch with me. You can find me on Instagram at It's Gila Ross, or you can WhatsApp me. My number is in the show notes, and we can set up a time to discuss this further. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Have a wonderful day, and please take a moment to rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast to anyone else who would benefit from it.